It's the most amazing thing. Hello, my name is Scott Beaver, and I am so compelled to tell as many people about it as I can because, well, I was in a jet ski accident years ago that put me in a coma for 4 or 5 days. I was blessed because I suffered no noticeable physical ailments and retained most of my abilities through therapy. But I did begin having spasms of the toes of my left foot. I went to doctors, professionals to see what was causing it. They decided it would be best to perform surgery to correct the hammer toe diagnosis. After the surgery, the spasms moved up into the next joint of my toes. So I went back under the knife to sever the second ligament. After the surgery, the spasms moved up into the next joint of my foot. I was going crazy because nobody had any answers.
Messing around with a buddy of mine after baseball practice, and we were wrestling. He got me upside down from about 2 feet off the ground and unfortunately lost his grip on me. And I fell straight into the ground, right on my head. And you know, being a 17-year-old, I thought, well, I'll just get up and no big deal. And so I did, and immediately I didn't have any big reaction to it. However, over the next 2 years, my health went straight down the drain. Initially, I had a jammed feeling here at the base of the skull. I felt like someone had stuck a dagger in my neck. And initially, probably the first 2 months, I started getting headaches about 3 times a week, and then eventually, about 3 months later, my sinuses completely swelled shut to the point where I couldn't breathe. The headaches, instead of being 3 times a week, were now every day. Falling to sleep at night, before the accident, I would fall asleep 5-10 minutes. It got to the point at its worst about a year after that trauma, I was taking 3 or 4 hours to fall asleep at night. I started waking up in the middle of the night totally drenched in sweat. I had what's called night sweats. In my senior year in high school, I was very active junior, sophomore year in sports. My senior year, I started noticing that I really didn't have the urge to go and play basketball, to do baseball. I still did the sports, but my normal drive and energy level just wasn't there, and I was, you know, kind of wondering what was going on.
I was going crazy because nobody had any answers. Luckily, I found a neurologist who had one. He prescribed daily doses of Klonopin and shots of Botox in my ankle and foot every 3 months. Finally, I had a solution. But this meant that I would be on prescription drugs for who knows how long, since he had no other answers in his medical field.
I told my mom what was going on and said that I was a little bit scared of what was going on. We went to our family doctor, but he really didn't know what was going on, so he referred me to an internist. And the internist ran chest x-rays, a complete blood panel on me, an MRI of my brain, and everything came back negative. So he referred me to an infectious disease doctor. Infectious disease doctor took a bunch of more blood tests. Everything again came back negative. And I'm sitting here thinking, how can I have all these symptoms, all these problems, and yet these medical people just don't seem to find anything. And anyway, I was sent back to my internist. The internist told me that I had seen 3 of the best medical doctors in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that based on medical science, my physical body was completely healthy, and really the only option I had now was to go see a psychiatrist.
Well, alright. You got it. Well, now it gets really good. This part's still blowing me away. One night I was talking with a friend who's currently enrolled in chiropractic college. He told me about a student that was performing a specialized upper cervical adjustment. So I went in and got the x-rays of my neck, upper cervical area, and then had my first toggle adjustment. A couple days later, I was swimming in the ocean for like 45 minutes and had no spasms to my foot. Are you kidding me? I was now getting treatment without medication or surgery that was effectively dealing with the spasms in my foot. I was off the Klonopin that I was dependent on for a couple years, 2 weeks after the first several adjustments.
At this point, I was a freshman in a junior college, and I was in the library for about 2 weeks researching what was going on with me. And I read book after book after book, and I came across a book that was titled Chronic Fatigue Syndrome, Fibromyalgia. And I remember I went back home after reading that book, and I thought to myself, there's got to be an answer. There's got to be something else there that helps me. And my mom got a hold of a chronic fatigue support group in San Francisco, and there were 3 doctors listed on that, and one of them happened to be a homeopath. And a homeopath is an alternative type medical doctor. Anyway, I went in to her. She ran a 2-hour history on me, and after she was done with that, she handed me a card and said, "You need to go see this guy." And I was like, what? What's this guy gonna do for me? I thought maybe the headaches and the neck pain and the back pain, but I had many other things going on. I said, what's he gonna do for this? So I went down there, and Dr. Force explained to me that the nervous system controls every function in your body, and that if you've been in some sort of trauma that's knocked that top vertebra at the base of the skull out of position, it's become locked there, it's going to interfere with your body function, and you're not going to work right. And bam, the light bulb went off. It was the first time someone told me something that made sense, and I thought to myself, my God, before all this started, I was dropped on my head. Dr. Force shot about 9 x-rays of my upper neck area to determine exactly how my vertebra is out of position. And he explained to me that everybody's joints are built differently, everybody goes out of place differently. So the care that we give is what we call a custom tailored adjustment. Yes, this is a specialty within the profession called upper cervical. There's about 100 doctors that do the particular technique that I do in the nation. I was adjusted by Dr. Forrest, and the first couple hours I noticed no change. And went home, and I remember on the car ride home thinking, my God, I didn't even feel what he did to me. How could that possibly do anything? And I started doubting everything he had told me and thinking I'd wasted, or my parents had wasted money. Got home, it had become evening time, and all of a sudden I started feeling these warm sensations in my neck and at the base of the skull. And I was like, that's interesting. And didn't think much of it. I went to bed that night. Woke up the next morning. It was the first night in over 2 years I slept straight through the night. Woke up the next morning, went through the day, didn't have a headache. Okay, and slowly over time I pulled out of the mess that I was in. It was not an instant cure-all. When interference is removed in the upper neck, the body takes time to change in there. Okay, we're not dealing with drugs, we're dealing with the own natural healing system in the body.
When injuries occur to the spinal segments like